God willing, next week, tomorrow, we will look into the practical aspect of it. So 2 days for the training, and I believe strongly that you will be able to get a lot of information when it comes to the usage of the technique. So I'm Isaac Ofuriasare, a PhD student in the University of South Dakota in the US. I also double act as an assistant lecturer at Accra Technical University at the Department of Statistics. Yeah. So my research interests are basically in application of machine learning in biostatistics, obesity and lifestyle related, then causal inferences in healthcare. We also have the health data science and predictive modeling, health data science itself, and then general statistical applications. So these are some of my, should I say, my core areas that I really want to focus on. And I believe some of you might also have similar areas of interest that we will be able to, have some kind of collaboration. Okay, so my email or the company or the consult email is what is given, and then the WhatsApp is also there. So at any point in time, we can reach out to, deliberate on how we can collaborate and, write papers. Okay. Or any other research that we want to undertake. Okay, so today outline, we have introduction to the latent class analysis. Then what are some of the issues, available softwares that you could use to, handle the technique. And then we look at some of the structure, how you can even choose classes, and if you want to include covariates or other outcome variable or independent variable, how do you do that? And then how the analysis is done, and then the report writing. So this is going to be the outline for today, and I'll be happy you come up with all your questions that you have so that it will make the class interesting. And if there is something you don't also understand, please just feel free. You can just ask your question whilst we move on. Don't wait till we finish. As we move on and you have question, you can bring it up and then it will be answered. I've also shared some document with you. That is the articles that have been published in the area, just some few of them that's I chance on, but there are a lot. So irrespective of your area of study or field, you can get articles in such what area, being it in finance, health, administration, or whatever business, you can get a lot of articles in that area. Okay, so once we know what we are supposed to do in terms of the outline, I think we can begin with the session. As I said, if there is something you don't get it, please, you can just raise your hand, or you can just ask your question using the comments or the chat session. Okay. So we are looking at what is called latent class analysis. latent class analysis. Yeah, so the latent class analysis basically is one of the statistical techniques that we use to analyze data, especially if you want to look at how certain individuals share common what characteristics. If you have, let's say, a kind of data set and you really want to see how such individuals within that kind of study share certain characteristics, the technique will be appropriate for you to use. Now, there is something we call the latent class profile, or let's say latent class analysis and latent class profile. These are two different techniques that are used. One is more appropriate when you have a categorical data like a yes or no kind of data set. And that is what we are looking at for this particular training. Maybe another time, there will be another session on the other technique, the same thing, but when you have different kind of data, you should be able to know the best tool that you can use to analyze, because the procedures are quite similar, but they are different. Yeah. So we are saying that it's a statistical procedure that is used to identify qualitatively different subgroups within population who often share certain outward characteristics. So let's take note of this kind of technique. You want to know how certain individuals share certain characteristics within your given population. This technique will be appropriate. And those of us, or let's say those who are in the area of social sciences, or let's say this kind of health related fields, I think this technique can be more useful to them if they really want to see how, let's say, people react to a certain kind of condition within a geographical area, within the same community. You want to find out how people perceive certain kind of let's say, a condition, right? By you giving them this option of they indicating, let's say, yes or no to that kind of let's say, instrument that you have developed. And it can really help to know, okay, it can really help to know what the people are really saying, their knowledge even level about that kind of condition. Most of the times when we have yes or no data sets, the first thing that we are in a hurry to do is just to run some frequency analysis on the data, but just how many yes, 20, 30%, 10%, and so on. But you can do more. You can do more beyond the normal frequency that we usually do. I'm not saying those descriptives are not appropriate. They are good because they also helps to, determine what is happening. But if you really want to now, let's say, put your ideas in this high and reputable, let's say, journals, okay, you want to publish in a very high, let's say, journals, just the yes or no alone wouldn't help. Okay, but these are some of the techniques that are available that you can use to analyze your data. All right, so we are saying that the basic assumption is that the membership, or let's say those within the group, observe let's say unobserved groups or classes can be explained by patterns of scores across the survey questions. So per the questions that you give to them, right, you are able to assess, okay, you are able to determine what the people are saying in terms of, for example, if you want to assess knowledge level about, let's say, malaria within, let's say, a certain geographical area in Ghana, okay, you can, let's say you go to the northern part just to want to find out people knowledge about, let's say, malaria alone. Okay, it is based on the instrument that you give them. At the end of the day, you can't determine whether their knowledge level is high, their knowledge level is low, their knowledge level is moderate, and so on. Then after that, you'll be able to proceed and add other factors to it to even make the study what more robust, rather than just, let's say, kind of, oh, 20% said this, 10% said this, and this one said that, right? So this is what you can also do. So all the time, there should be this kind of what instrument that you are able to use based on theoretical foundation, right? Based on theoretical foundation, or let's say empirical studies that have already been done, you base on it and also reward, let's say reproduce. If you want to, I mean, take all their instrument or whatever, you just have to reproduce the same kind of thought, use the same kind of instrument for that kind of thought study. Okay, so it says that the subgroups are referred to as latent groups, or let's say classes, right? There is what we have. We have another technique which maybe as time goes on you'll be doing some training on. That is the structural equation modeling, right? That is also an aspect of it. And even with this one too, we also have what is called the factor analysis, right? It's also there. And this one is also another type that we also use, depending on the kind of study. Because with this kind of study, you can use factor analysis to analyze this kind of data set. Okay, so every situation has its own approach that we use to analyze, right? But as I said, the groups or the classes depends on the kind of questions that you ask and how the people are also going to respond to it. That will help you to determine how many classes came out of the questionnaire that you give to the participant, right? Okay, so we say that to detect the latent groups, the latent class analysis uses the steady participant responses to categorical indicate their classes or where they belongs to, right? So categorical indicator variables. So it is based on the responses that you get, right? That is how the system is able, or the application is able to group their responses or the people into that kind of category. That this group of individuals, we can put them in group 1 because their knowledge level is low, or this group of individuals, we can put them under this. It helps one when it comes to intervention purposes. So, for example, those in the health, most of the time you'll be hearing intervention, they are doing intervention. It means that they have already done a preliminary study, and they've realized that that group of individuals, they need some kind of help or support, right? So if you do this kind of study, you will get to know the knowledge level of, let's say, the participant. That is where you'll be able to now go back. The research team will go back and then go and find out, or let's say put things in place. How can we help these people? If their knowledge level is low, if the understanding to this kind of condition is low, what should we do? Which category should we even target? Is it the males or is it the females? How should we do it? Remember, we need to be able to take decision based on data rather than just to use our intuition. Oh, we think they are okay. We think we are okay. No. If you're able to use a technique like this, it will help you to proper group the participant. Oh, this is a group. Because if at the end of the day, you just use your intuition, oh, they are okay with it. But you see, when it comes to this social work research, or let's say this kind of research, just one person lives what matters. Just one person life, right, matters. So you don't need to just throw it, oh, I think they are okay. But this technique will help you to cluster or to help you to group them. So that at the end of the day, you can know that, okay, these people are already okay. Then let me focus on this group. They are just even 10. Let's go there and educate them, right? Or let's give them this kind of support and so on, right? So this technique will help you to be able to do that kind of classification Then you can add other covariates or you can add other variables to the model. Okay, so it says that when indicators are continuous, the latent profile analysis, right? That is a similar statistical technique is used. So a situation whereby you don't have categorical items, but rather it is a continuous kind of let's say variables that you have in your study. As I said, you don't use the latent class analysis, but rather you use what is called the latent class a profile, or the latent profile analysis is what you use. These are two different technique, but they look similar, right? They look similar. Okay, so as this training, we are focusing on the latent class analysis, right? To be able to do this kind of, let's say, our training. Later on, we'll try and see if we can organize a different session where we'll be using this profile for also a different kind of let's say research. Okay, so we now know what the latent class analysis is all about, right? We know when it is used, okay, and then we know when or the type of variables that should be used, right? If you have that kind of categorical, it is more appropriate, right? It is more appropriate. And if it is continuous too, you need to use the other one. That is what the latent profile analysis. Some researchers have also indicated, or let's say professors in this area, right? That is a latent class analysis. They are on the view that it helps towards determine what is called the heterogeneous, right? Groups in a sample, right? You want to, I mean, find out this kind of grouping within, let's say, a given kind of sample. It is more appropriate, or this technique will be more appropriate for you to use, right? Then we are also saying that it is that kind of a special case of a person-centered makes modeling, right? That enables us or researchers, right? It enables researchers to be able to identify or subpopulation within a sample or a sample group, right? Based on how the people respond. The most important thing is how the people respond to the kind of instrument or the kind of question that you give to them, right? So it is applicable in so many areas. Let's take note. So those, let's say, if you're in education, you can use it. If your background is education, if your background is psychology, which I think is more related to social work research, they use it a lot. Then sociology, those in epidemiology, those in biostatistics, those any field, those in finance, right, health related, you can use it. Public health, all those people within that area, they can use it. And as I said, businesses you can use, depending on the nature of your study. So if you are in finance and you still want to maybe come out with a new instrument to be able to measure something or to measure people understanding when it comes to a certain peculiar or challenging area when it comes to finance, you should be able to use this technique to be able to analyze and come out with a concrete research that will help policy makers or that will help let's say people who want to support that area get better understanding of what is there so that they can also know how they can put their resource in, right? Okay, now every statistical technique one way or the other has a challenge or limitations, right? That the researchers need to be aware, right? So one of the key challenge or issues when it comes to the latent class analysis is selecting the indicator variables. Okay, getting the variables right is one of the challenges that mostly occurs when it comes to the usage of what this technique, right? Many researchers have indicated that there's nothing new on this earth, or what we usually say, there's nothing new. If you don't know, you ask. If you don't have a better understanding to how to even select your variables for your study, the most important thing is to what? Search for, read more to be able to get some of this kind of what information. So if you're unable to, select your indicator variables, you put your research in, let's say, a publication house, and it will be rejected. Or you want to make a meaning to a certain situation, people will just come after you and say that, look, you don't know what you are about. But that would be one of the most painful thing, for you to waste your time to or invest your time to do some kind of research, and then somebody somewhere will just rubbish the work with this with the shortest possible time. Say that, look, you don't know what you're about, you don't know your methodology, you don't know how to select the instrument. We hear this thing over and over all the time. We hear them, right? So selecting the indicator variables, or selecting the variables, is very, very important. So if you want to do a study in the area of, let's say, malaria, right? Remember, you are not the first person to do research in the area of what's malaria. Ask literature. Go look for literature. Find out the items that have been used to measure knowledge about what malaria within your scope, whatever, depending on how you want to, narrow your research. Find out what have been done in the area. How did they do it? Get the variables, right? Get the variables that they use. You can either modify it, take portion from it, and then add your own to it, or take everything, just acknowledge that, well, I took this information from this person, this person. That is the most important thing, right? Because sometimes when you are coming out with your new instrument, you can come out with your new instrument, but the process that you need to pass through before you come out with niche instrument is not easy, because you need to do a lot of pre-testing and other stuff. Maybe you don't have that time. And the question is, how reliable is that kind of thing that you are bringing up? You have not indicated the reliability of that instrument, but you just came out and say that, okay, this is what it is. No, you will end up creating more rooms, especially if you get tough reviewers, they will just reject your work. So I'm only pleading, selecting the indicator variables for your study is critical. And in all aspect of what study, not just latent class analysis what as a technique, but all technique that you use. If you don't get the variables right, at the end of the day, you might not be able to get what you are looking for. Now, after you've been able to get the indicator variables, another most important thing is selecting the final class model. Okay. Now, the system will be able to give you series of what models, or you need to program the software, or let's say the application, that, look, I want the best class to fit this kind of data, or I want the best model that I can use to fit this kind of data that I have. You need to be able to what fine-tune what the application. The application doesn't know what you really want. Okay, it is not all that intelligence to be able to tell you that, based on this questionnaire or based on this data that you have, right? The best class is, let's say, 1, or the best class is 2. If I say the class is like you have 30 items, you are asking participant 30, let's say, questions, right? On, let's say, malaria, right? Asking them how they are understanding when it comes to malaria, right? How many classes should the technique group this 30 item for you? Can you say, or should it be 3 classes for you to say, oh, the knowledge level are, let's say, low, high, or let's say low, medium, high, right? Should it be the case, or it should just be high and then low? It all depends on how the people are going to respond to the question, and how you are also going to program the technique. So that at the end of the day, you get to know that, oh, the knowledge level when it comes to malaria for this group of individual is not just yes, or it is not just what low and high, but it's rather 3 levels, or let's say 4 levels, depending on how they responded to what to the instrument. So these are some of the things that you really need to know, right? You really need to know if you're unable to get the final model, because in every journal that's, or let's say in every publication that I have seen so far per my search, you need to report on the final model. So you can't just put down anything. And sometimes they even demand the score of what the data, or the score of your study, right? So that they can also run it on their own. So these are some of the things that you need to know. So selecting the final model is very, very critical. And then deciding how to include covariate and other outcomes in what? In your study. It is very, very important. Maybe you are looking at, for example, let me still go back to the malaria case. You are looking at malaria. Have you done enough research to find out whether demographic factors influence malaria outcome? You have not done it. If you have not done it and literature is not telling you to include, or let's say demographic profile or social demographic characteristics has nothing to do with knowledge level of malaria. If you include it, because it is not grounded, because it is not based on theoretical foundation, at the end of the day, you might submit that kind of study to a publication house, right? I'm talking in terms of this what reputable ones, not those ones that you can, those predictory ones that you don't even care. Whatever research that you have, they'll just take your money, publish it within 1 week or 2 weeks for you. That is not what I'm talking about. But if you want to publish in this tier 3, tier 4, tier 2, and so on, right? Those ones, they are very, very key about some of these things that you publish, okay, or you bring on board for them to review or publish it for you, right? So what is literature saying pertaining to your study? Have they indicated that covariates such as demographic profile or social demographic what characteristics influence that kind of what study that you are looking at? If they are, then you should be able to include them. Or if it is your first time that you need to what include them, then you need to have a justification as to why you are including such variables in what in the study. It is very, very important. Sometimes we fail to do some of these things, and then we submit the paper or we submit it for publication. And at the end of the day, we get this kind of what rejection over and over and over, right? So these are some of the things that we need to know. So if you are including what's the name, covariate, just know it. If you also include what outcome, or let's say the dependent what variables, you need to also what know which dependent variable should I what include, right? Which dependent variable should I include? So these are some of the things that you really need to know, right? So let's go to some of the key limitation. So we are saying that the latent class analysis assigns what individuals to classes based on their probability of being in what a certain class. Okay, so the system will do the signing in based on how one you responded to the question. Then the system can group. Okay, so if we are all answering it in this manner, then the system thinks, okay, all this group of people should be in group 1, or let's say class 1, or class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, and so on, right? Okay, so it is very, very important to take note of some of these things, right? Based on how you responded to the instrument, right? The system would also classify it in that kind of what manner for you. So when it happens, you say that proper assignment or class assignment is not what guaranteed. Okay. So this is how I did maintain. This is how I did maintain. So I belongs to this kind of what, let's say class and so on. Sometimes it does not really what happens, right? But it is a limitation that um, researchers have been able to identify. So you must also have it in mind, right? That maybe if you are writing a paper in this area using this technique, you should be able to, indicate why you think there's a limitation with respect to the classes that you have, let's say, be able to establish. Then we are also saying that because class assignment is based on probability, the exact number or the percentage of the sample members within each class cannot be determined. So the system uses what probabilities. It uses what probabilities to be able to do the assigning. So like in terms of percentage, right? If you multiply the probability by 100, you are getting percentage. So because of these percentages, you're unable to determine the actual numbers. Okay, unless you yourself you are able to, go down there, or let's say take your time to be able to estimate it manually. Okay, you're able to estimate it. So if I see 0.4, 0.4 is, let's say, 40%, then I have to go and calculate 40% of the population and so on, which is quite difficult, especially if you have a very huge number of items in your study, right? Okay, so this is another type of or a kind of limitation that you are likely to face when it comes to the usage of the technique. Now, another limitation is what is called the labeling, how you can label the items, or let's say the classes. So for example, with the 30, let's say the 30 items that you use to measure knowledge level when it comes to malaria, okay, you took the questionnaire to a community, right? Let's say a typical rural area, and then the people responded to the instrument or the questionnaire for you. Right now, the system has been able to group, or the application has been able to group the responses into, let's say, 3 categories. How do you name the categories? That is another thing. It's very, very difficult. It is very, very difficult. It happens in factor analysis. If you are running factor analysis, it happens. And the naming is difficult. It is difficult for you to say that, oh, this responses, let me name it high. How do you know it is high? How do I label this one low? How do I label this one medium? How do I label this moderate? It is very, very difficult. Okay, it is very, very difficult. Sometimes you need to take your time and then take a critical look at how each individual responded. Group all such people together and then try to look. Let's say if you have about 10 people who belongs to, let's say 10 of the items belongs to, let's say, class 1. You need to look at how the items are flowing. Sometimes you can see the questions are not close, but yet you need to be able to get one word to stand in for such group of individuals. It is another challenging thing that you need to take note. And the moment you begin to use, you testify it that, okay, I have classes. Definitely the system will group it for you. The application will group them for you, but it will not tell you the names. It will tell you that, oh, 3 classes have been established, 2 classes have been established, or 4. But the application cannot tell you. The software can't tell you that name class 1 as, let's say, low, class 2 as medium, class 3 as high. No, you need to do it by yourself. And if you are that type, or let's say, if you have not done a lot of readings around that area, it will be difficult for you to name them. It will be very, very difficult. And you can also just present the classes like that. It won't make sense to anybody. It won't make sense, because if you are saying that 3 classes were estimated, class 1, class 2, class 3. Who cares about class 1? What is class 1? Remember, someone wants to do intervention. So you need to let them know what class 1 is. Does it mean that it is low level of education, high level of education, because they want to do intervention so that they can really target that class, right? They can really target that class. But if you don't have any of this and you only have class 1, class 2, what is class 1? What is class 2? What is class 3? It is difficult. So please, let's take note of some of these things. Please, anytime you want to use this technique, ensure that you know the instrument. you know the questionnaire, you know it, or you know them very well. That is the only way that can help you. So that once the system is able to establish the classes for you, you will be able to what? Now do proper what? Naming, right? To represent the groups that the system has, or maybe have been able to what? Establish for you. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the statistical softwares that you can use. Now, there are several softwares that are available. Some of them are free. Others too, you need to buy to be able to, do this kind of what analysis. And they are expensive. They are expensive. Currently, I'm working with some renowned professors in two universities. My university, University of San Francisco, California, and I was fortunate because of the work that I am doing with them. They bought the M Plus for me. The M Plus is almost, I think, $500 or so, which is almost 5,000 thereabouts, 5,000 plus. If the rate is 10 is to 1, right? It's almost 5,000. 5,000. And I don't think someone who is starting to do this kind of research would like to go and buy, right? The M plus. Yes, even in our consult, for example, we don't have it. We don't have it, because if we buy and we are unable to get works, or let's say work to do with it, it's just, and every year you need to also what renew it, right? So M plus is expensive. SAS is also expensive. Okay, Stata is also expensive, but Stata, I think you can get it. But here, if you're in Ghana, you'll be able to download it and use. But here, the US here, they have a system. You can't download things that we can get in Africa. All right, yeah. So it is quite a challenge unless you have someone who can give you the software, right? So these are some of the softwares that but the R software is free. We all have it. I've shared the link with you that you can easily download and then use it for your research work. It is free, right? You don't need to pay anybody for anything. All that maybe you need to do is to acknowledge that you use our software in your study or something. That is all that it is what required. You don't need to pay for anything. You don't need to go and pay annual renewal. You are not going to renew what anything, right? So that is something that we should take note of. So the R is all the time free for you, right? But as I said, if you have money and you can get the M plus, it's also good. It can help you to do some of these things with ease, right? Okay, good. Please, any questions so far? It seems I'm going too fast. Is there any question? Okay, so if there is no question, let's move. Let's go on. Okay, so now we are looking at what is called the another session, that is certain decisions that you can take, right? One of the decision is the selection of what the participants, right? Before you go into this kind of what study, before you get in, right? You need to ask yourself so many questions, right? Selection of what the participant for the study, right? So I just did some reviews and got to know some works that have been done using this what technique, right? So a study was done that is looking at issues and vulnerable populations, such as what people living with what mental health what issues among Black youth. Okay, yeah. So this is a study that was done by Rose and colleagues, 2017. They used this technique to do it. Um, there is another study too that was done, adolescent perceptions of in-school discrimination, right? You want to find out how students are being, or let's say how people are discriminated, right, in school and so on. And then the youths at risk when it comes to what HIV and so on, right? There are a lot of studies, a lot of them. Once you go to Google Scholar and then you just type latent class analysis, you can just type latent class analysis in finance. Depending on your field, you just type latent class analysis or profile in your area, sociology, computer science, information system, or whatever. You will get a lot of research that have been done. Okay, I can't mention them all. I can't mention them all, but there are a lot of research that you will get that have what use the latent what class analysis for that kind of what study. And selecting the participant is very, very what important. For example, as we are looking at the, let's say, among Black youth, the focus is on what Black what youth. How do you get the people? It's another thing that you need to know. Okay, so this comes in like the sampling what procedure, the sampling what procedure, or the selection what procedure or criteria. So if you are a researcher or you want to become a researcher, and your understanding when it comes to sampling or selection, when it comes to people to form part of your study is bad, it will be difficult for you to do a very good what kind of what research. Because as I said, you want to publish your resource, your findings, not maybe going to buy a space in Daily Graphic, which is good, but it's also limited to a group of people, right? But you rather want to put it in that bigger space where everybody anywhere across what the globe will be able to have access to. You need to make things right. Okay, so this comes back to the concept of what? Statistics. Please, if you want to be strong, whether you are in finance, marketing, whatever, health, your basic concept when it comes to statistics must be strong. Or at least, even if it's not that strong, you should have that basis so that when you are writing, okay, when you are writing, you'll be able to inculcate all these kind of basic things. Oh, I use this sampling procedure. I use this selection criteria to include the people, whatever, and so on in your study. It is very, very critical for you to do that. Okay, so we are saying that I've already indicated it that the LCA can be useful for identifying what the subgroups of individuals who could benefit from a common intervention, right? Because you are going to, I mean, the focus is, okay, if I do this research, we are going to support them with something. How do we select them so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to give them or give that participant, or say, let's say that group of individual, the kind of what support that they are looking for, right? These are some of the things that you should be asking yourself. So what is the end result of my research? Am I going to do intervention? If you are going to do intervention, then you should know that at the end of the day, you will go back to that same community. So if you don't do your selection very well, how are you going to do the intervention? You are going to give the intervention to people that they don't need aid. So the selection helps to do the intervention, right? And then the intervention can be done when you do the proper word selection. If you don't do it well, at the end of the day, you will end up not what getting the right thing toward the right people, all because you didn't do your selection very well. It is very, very important. It is very, very important. And let's take note that this LCA should be grounded in what? Literature. By what? That theoretical foundation. You should have that strong theoretical foundation to back your study. So all these kind of things, you don't just get out, let's say one day, oh, I'm using latent class analysis to do what? To do what? Right? It should be grounded in literature based on a foundation. That is the theory. There are several theories that have been used, irrespective, I mean, like, depending on your area of what study. Those in health, they have their own theories. Those in finance, they have their own theory. I believe marketing have their own theory. Sociology, they have a lot of theories that the health are even using and so on. Education, they have their own theories. So what kind of theory are you basing on? Does the theory permit certain kind of variables? You need to do a lot of search. That is the only way that will put you on top. Okay, that your results will come out and then nobody would what be able to withstand. And even if they withstand or they are trying to query you, you'll be able to what respond to such what queries. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to look at is what the sample size for the study. So that is the question. How big is the sample size? How big should be big for you to use this technique in your study? And take note that at all times we are looking for a very large sample, or let's say bigger sample, to form part of what our study, to help us to be able to make what an informed what decision, right? If you have limited sample size, it will be difficult for you to what to make a proper decision about, let's say, that kind of, let's say, research that you are doing, right? But if you have a lot of them, you'll be able to what make a concrete what decision. But the question is, how big should be big? How small is small? These are some of the things that we should take note of. So the answer, one, depends on the study itself, because there are certain studies that naturally you won't get a lot of people to form part of it. You will not get a lot of people to form part. You won't get them to form part of what the study. You won't get a lot of people to form part, especially when it comes to this, let's say, issues pertaining to biological issues, biological research and other stuff. You won't get a lot of people with the same condition. You want to look out for people with the same disease. It will be difficult. Even in the whole country, it's likely you might not even get 10 people. So then if you ask me to use 300 people, it doesn't make sense. It won't make sense to anybody because we don't have 300 people suffering from that condition. But if it is something that it is available, then big should be big, right? And what is that big? Based on literature, other researchers have indicated at least get 300 people to form part of what they study. Get 300 people at least to form part of what they study. But as I said, it depends on your study. If your study will not permit even 20 people, go ahead and use that 10 people to form part of what they study. Right? It is very, very important. The reason why we encourage larger sample size is because of the indices that you'll be estimating, or the model fit indices that you will get to validate the model. Sometimes if the sample size is too small, you don't get them right. You don't get them right. So if you want to get good, let's say, estimate or good results, we encourage you to get, let's say, bigger or larger sample size. It is very, very important. It is very, very important. But as I said, it depends on the kind of what study that you are looking at. If the study will not permit larger people, you only use a limited one and then just justify the rest as what? Your limitations. These are the reasons why I couldn't get this estimate, because I use limited sample. So maybe further studies should, look into other areas where there are what? Larger what? People to form part of what the study. Actually, you have done your best, but if you just leave it raw as it is, it doesn't help, right? Okay. So these are some of the things that you need to know when it comes to the sample size, right? Why it is very, very important. Okay, now we are looking at the structure of the data set. Okay, so it says a number of tasks help prepare the data files from what? General what? Statistics program for analysis in a program to be used for the LCA. Please take your time. Take your time and structure your data. Take your time. Sometimes we are in a hurry. We just, oh, I have my data. Let me just start. Look, it doesn't work like that. I'll urge all of us, if you're already in the research, it is good. You are learning more to adapt to whatever skills that you have. If you are now coming, you want to be on top, you want to, do research, you want to do impactful research, you want to do societal research, and so on. Please, if you have data, take your time. Data is power, right? The power that you have is that kind of data. That, let's say, intervention that you want to do, right, is dependent on what? The data set that you have. If you get the data sets wrong in the program, as I said, the program is not all that intelligent enough to be able to tell you that this data, that this format that you are giving me is not supposed to be so, right? Get the data well prepared in the application, right? Do it, take your time. If there are missing observations in the data set, please have time. Have time to clean the data. Have time to remove certain missing values from the data. Have time to ensure that the data is clean, is good. There are no errors. You have been able to, deal with all basic issues, right, with the data before you begin. Sometimes the program will not even allow you to even continue. It will not even converge. It will not even terminate. Then you'll be asking yourself, what did I do? I've been trying. Have you checked the data? Have you checked the data very well? Have you checked whether it is in the format that the program? Remember, the programmers of this software too, there are certain conditions as to how you should use what? That kind of a procedure. If you don't follow it, it will not run. So these are some of the things that you need to do. So irrespective of the software usage or the software that you are going to use for the analysis, right? It is recommended that recording missing values for all variables in the data set. You cannot just be modeling with a missing data or a missing data set, right? It is not proper. And there are so many approaches that we use when it comes to or dealing with missing observation. There are so many techniques that have been developed. So if you have a lot of missing data observation in your data set, the best approach that you need to, adopt is to look for such what techniques. They are there. There are a lot of them there that can help you to, input the missing observation that you have in your data set. Okay, so that is about the structure. Now, let's look at how we can conduct the LCA itself. Please, any question? Any question? If there is question, please, you can bring it on board. There's something you don't understand. You can bring it on board. There are questions. So far, okay, all right, thank you. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so we are looking at the conducting the LCA, that is the latent class analysis, right? There are there are several approaches that we follow. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to what? To estimate, let's say, the models. Okay, when we start with the application, you understand what I'm talking about. So you need to estimate the models, right? Some prefer level by level, let's say 1 stage, 2 stage, 3 stage, 4th stage, the 5th stage, right? Then you get the results, let's say stage 1, that is model 1, you put the results down, then you run model 2, you put the results down, model 3, and so on, right? Others too will put everything together. That system, I want you to generate 5 models for me to compare. Remember, we are looking at the best classes that you can put your data into. So if you have, let's say, model 1, it means out of the 30 questions, if the system tells you that the best model is model 1, it means all the 30 questions can just be put in, let's say, under one group. Let's say low, that is all, or high, that is all. Okay, that is all. If it is 2 groups, right? If you go to, let's say, 2 models, then it means that the system will divide that 30 questions that you have asked, the 30 questions that you have asked, into what? 2 groups. Let's say low and high. That is, let's say, if that best fits the data set that you have. If it also say it is 3 models, right? If it is 3 models, then it means that the system will be able to what? Group the 30 questions into what? 3 groups. Let's say model 1, low, high, low, moderate, and then high. Right? So these are some of the things that you should take note when you are conducting the LCA itself, right? And then we are saying that researchers should then compare the model based on statistical what? Criteria. You don't also just select the best model just like that. That, oh, it is class 1, it is class 2, or it is model 1, or it is model 2. No, it is not so. But rather, we base on statistical and substantive what criteria or fit indices. Those are the things that we use. Those are the things that we use to determine that, oh, this is what the best class that fits what the data set that I have. Let's take note of that, right? So it says researchers continue to run models with one additional class at a time until the best model is what identified. So you continue to run. If you think the fifth one is not good, add 1 to it. It will become 6. It will become 7. It will become 8. But over a period, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to, for example, if the system classifies you have, let's say, 10 questions, and then the system classifies your 10 questions into 10 groups. What does it mean? It doesn't really make sense. Okay. So over a period, if you are getting so many of the classes too, it doesn't make sense. You need to advise yourself or check the models that you use. It is very, very important. It is very, very important to take note of that. Okay. So, you say, for example, if the two class model fits the data better than the one class model than the one class model, okay, then we say that 3 class models should be run. So if, let's take note, if it is for you to say that, oh, let's say class 2 is the best, it means you have done class 3. Okay, it means you have done class 3. You can't do, or you can't have class 3, or you can't have class 2 when you have not done what? Class 3. Or you can't have class 3 when you have not done class 4. So let's take note of that. For you to be able to say that class 2 is the best to fit the data, you should do what? Class 3. Then you can do the model comparison. You'll be comparing class 3 with class 1. You'll be comparing class 2 with class 1, and then class 2 with class 3. Then you can decide on the best model to fit the data set. Okay. All right. The next thing is selecting the classes or selecting a class what solution. Okay, based on the statistical technique, or let's say criteria. Here we have mentioned based on statistical and substantive what criteria, right? So as you can see, so many authors, they have indicated what should be used, right? And one of the most common technique that they use is what is called the latent class. Sorry, that's the Bayesian information what criterion, the BIC. Okay, the BIC is one of the commonly what used technique to be used to indicate the best model that fits the the data set, right? Okay, so let's look at some of the things, some of the criteria that they have set. Most, if it is greater than 80, that is 0.8. Some will say 0.9 and so on, right? So based on where you are getting your information, you can just acknowledge that source that maybe according to this person, BIC of 0. Let's say 8 best fits what the data. So you are basing on it to say that your model, that is the class 2, is the best to fit the data set that you have. So these are some of them, but the articles that I have shared with you, they have a lot, of the information in there that you can use to, get a better understanding when it comes to selecting the best models. Okay, now let's look at including covariate in your research. Including covariate. Now, anytime you are running the latent class analysis, please don't include the covariate in the initial stage. Okay, don't include. It's something that you need to know, right? Don't fit the model including the covariate, right? Don't include the covariate in the model, right? When you are fitting the latent class analysis, right? So finish with the latent class analysis before you include what? After you determining the best class, right? Then you can include the covariate in the model. Please, let's take note. You have 30 questions. You want to have grouping within that 30. Why are you adding demographic factors to it? Demographic factors are not part of that items. Okay, or let's say the indicator was variables. They are not part. In covariate are different variables altogether. Okay, or outcome variables are different. Don't include them. Okay, finish running that 30 or 40 or 50, whatever items that you have, like those categorical items, that is yes, or binary items, yes or no, true or false, and so on, right? True or false, yes or no. Run such model first. After that, then you include the covariate, right? So including covariate in LCA allow researchers to answer questions such as, does the composition of the classes differ by sociodemographic characteristics? The demographic characteristics or the covariate helps you to answer some of these questions, but it should be done after you are done with the LCA. After you've been able to estimate the model, then you can include this kind of variable in it so that you can answer this particular objective. Okay, it is very, very important. Say previously, researchers would include covariate in the same model as model used to identify the class solution, right? This one-step approach, however, can result in what? A flawed one or misspecified models. That is according to this authors, right? It can mislead the result or can misrepresent the kind of results that you have. So I would urge all of us, let's do the right thing. Let's follow what authorities are saying. As I said, you are not the first, or I'm not the first person to, use this technique, right? I'm not the first, or you are not the first, right? Authorities have worked around it, and now they know that it is what? Appropriate to, disassociate the covariate and other variable from the main what? Indicator variables. Let's do that so that you don't get a misleading what result. After you are done fitting the data to the LCA, you can then bring what? The covariate inside, which we will be looking at, that is God willing, tomorrow. Okay, it is very, very important, right? So the one-step approach has been replaced, right? So we are no more looking at that side as previously researchers used to do, right? Put everything together and then they estimate, but rather we fit them one after what the other. It is very, very important. It is very, very important to do that. Okay, please, any question? Do we have question or contribution somewhere? Are we good? Okay, so
Yes, please.
all right, thank you. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's continue. We'll finish very soon for today. Now let's look at validating the LCA models and reporting the results. Okay, it is very, very important to validate, right, the results that you have. So it says that a final and critical step in applying LCA is what? To validate the selected class what solution. So the classes that you have been able to, let's say, estimate, or the system has helped you to be able to do the estimation, right? You need to validate them. There are so many ways that you can validate. You should validate it based on literature. That should be the only way out. That should be the only way out. Okay, remember you have used the fit indices to be able to estimate the classes. That is perfect, right? Now, how do you validate? You need to validate it based. So now if the classes are 3 or 4, and you are going to name them, let's say high, low, medium, or whatever, right? Is it consistent with literature? Is it consistent with what has already been done? Is it consistent with something similar? These are some of the ways that you can say that, oh, this study is in line with research that's maybe published by WHO or UNESCO or blah, 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 and so on. Or maybe this paper or this author and so on. This is a way you can also what? Validate, right? So it says that although it is possible to publish LCA result without validation, it is argued that this step is what? Imperative for ensuring the class estimated is relevant to practice. You can, as I said, there are so many journals that you can just send your article to, they will just overlook some of these things. But if you want to publish in these high impact journals, you can't just do some of these things. You can't just do it. So sometimes you see, you realize that it is difficult to publish in this high impact or journals because their requirement is so much. And sometimes it puts a lot of burden on you, the researcher. But if that is what you want to do, that is your target. You don't just want to put your paper anywhere. Then why don't you go ahead and do all these kind of things? Okay, it is very, very important. So we are saying validating the model involves determining if classes assignment are related as expected to relevant what outcomes. And all this, you can do all this through what? Research, through review. You need to do enough reviewing. You need to do a lot of searching. You need to search. You need to search. You need to search. That's the only way out. That's the way out. So if one way or the other, you want to become a researcher and you don't have time to search, you won't get a lot of information. Your information will be scanty. You need to spend sometimes days, weeks, months getting or looking for information. It is very, very difficult. But if it is something that you have decided, an area, and now those into research, they are making the money. Those into research, those into health research, social research, and so on, they are making the money. I know of a professor who has been given $490 million to do what's the name, research in the area of what's the name, cognitive what's condition. Just go around and be asking people how your brain functions. That is $490 million. And just look at that. It can transform a whole nation. You get it, right? So these are some of the things that we are talking about. If you want to go into research, for me, I would say that you need to spend time. You need to do a lot of search because there's more money. But once you write and the general public get to know that, oh, this research that is where you get someone coming to give you grant, someone come to give you funding, that someone telling you that, okay, take this money to do this kind of what research for me, and I take this, and so on. But if you don't do it well and doesn't really represent, why would someone come and give you even 50,000 Ghana cedis that please embark on this kind of what research for me? No. And research that are now solving societal issues, those are the things that are now fetching. Those are the things, especially in health, psychology, and sociology. Those are the things, right? So please, let's get into. If you are into marketing, research is a very good. Don't just be a marketer who will just take a van. I'm going around to supply. No, but you become what? A professional marketer. A professional marketer knows statistics. A professional marketer knows how to conduct research and know how to do analysis. That is where you get big contract from big organizations that, look, I'm coming out with a new product. And for that matter, go out there and go and do visibility study for me. And you'll be there, the person will just come and give you 100,000 Ghana cedis that go out there and go and do the research. Whether the people will like my study or they will like my product. After paying your people that you are taking out there to go and do the survey and so on, you will get enough. You will get something far better than maybe your monthly salary that maybe you will get if maybe you are in a fixed words place. These are some of the things that we are encouraged. But if you don't take some of these things serious, you realize that you cannot grow. If I say you cannot get to that level where people have that confidence in you that, look, this person can do research. This person can do this based on the track records. What are your research that you have done for someone to give you something to do? You need to be able to be on top of your area. And these are some of the things, okay? These are some of the things based on literature, right? Based on literature. So we are saying that LCA reports need to detail study procedures and result with what? Clarity. It is very, very what? Important. So don't just do anything anyhow if you want to use this technique. Unless, as I said, you just want to publish your results in daily graphic, or you want to just publish your results in just online, maybe your own blog or something, whereby you don't owe anyone to review whatever information that you have. That one is okay. But if you want to take it to this technical area for them to validate, for them to publish it on their platform, for someone in US to see, someone in Canada to see, for someone in Australia to see, everywhere you can see, then please, you need to be detailed when it comes to the procedure, and then the result that you get, you need to come out clearly. And all these things can be done if you have done a lot of search in that area. Okay, Now, I have a table as to how your report should be done. So this is how the report should be done, or should include, right? There are certain, some of them, though it might not be necessarily the same, but most of the articles that you take, you will get to know some of these things are same, right? Now, you see, rationale for the selected what indicator variables, if based on what theory. What is the rationale? What is the rationale behind the variables that you are taking? You need to be able to account for all of them. Why are you using demographic variables? Why are you using outcome variables? Why are you using these indicator variables? You need to account for all of them. You need to account for all of them. Now, rationale for what? Conducting what? Exploratory what? Models. You need to also account for why are you performing the latent class analysis? Why? What is your motivation? Why are you using latent class analysis, not latent profile analysis? Why? Okay, so these are some of the things. So if you don't have answers to this basic thing, you can't use it. your results will not also be consistent. And it's like at the end of the day, you can't use this technique. So you just end up using that your frequency, yes or no, that is all. And as I said, of late, these reputable journals don't even accept those kind of papers again. They want robust research, or let's say robust analysis. Okay, not just yes or no, or so on, right? I'm not saying, as I said, certain journals accept such, but not all of them. Okay, then you need to come out with your descriptive statistics, and then if you have missing, how did you treat or how are you going to treat the missing observation in your data? You need to come out if there is. If you had missing, people do not respond to some of the questions. How did you treat the missing values? Or how are you going to handle such missing values in your study? You need to talk about the statistical package. What statistical package are you using? Are you using M+? Are you using R? Are you using Stata? Are you using whatever, SAS or whatever? Please state it in your report. Okay, state it in your report. Now, what is the estimation method? There are so many estimation methods depending on the kind of analysis that you are performing, right? We have the maximum likelihood estimator. It is one of the technique. We have the Bayesian. There are so many of them, right? So once you are using the latent class analysis for, let's say, the research, right? The commonly used technique, or let's say estimation algorithm, is the maximum likelihood estimator. So you can just mention that. You can mention that, because that is the estimation procedure that the technique uses. As I said, other techniques are there to be able to do that, depending on what kind of study that you are looking into. So let's take note of that. Now, criteria used for selection, you need to talk about the technique that you are going to use to select the best models, BIC, SA, whatever. And so there are a lot of them. But as I indicated earlier on, the commonly used one is the BIC. Okay, that's the Bayesian information criterion. That's the commonly used one. But there are other indices that you can also add to support the estimate results that you have. Okay, so please, let's take note of that, right? So you can table out all those indices in, like one table, or put all of them in one table. And then, you can put them, let's say AIC, BIC, whatever, then their values, okay? It should be there for someone to see, right? It is very, very important. Then figures of identify classes. There should be a figure showing the classes that you estimated, right? Then the number of samples or percentage of sample in each class should also be made available, right? So these are some of the things that you should know when it comes to your report writing. It is very, very important to take note of such information. Okay, so for example, let's take this one. Maybe you per the kind of study that you want to conduct. I mean, like let's say to conduct latent class profile or latent class analysis of social determinant of health. Okay, social determinant of health among Ghanaians, what adolescent. Social determinant of health among Ghanaian what adolescent. If this is the kind of study that you want to conduct in Ghana, right? This is a study that you want to conduct in Ghana, right? Then the most important thing is you are aiming at identifying what profiles. Okay. You are aiming at identifying profiles of what social determinant of health. So what is social determinant of health? You need to go and look for it, because there are certain indicators that are associated with what social determinant of health. So the thing is, if you don't search, I'm coming again to the search side. If you don't search to know what the social determinant of health is, how will you be able to even know the indicators? How will you be able to know the covariate that you need? How will you be able to even determine the outcome variables? You will not be able to do that. So it is very, very important. Social determinant, it's like it's a kind of what? A framework, or let's say a theory, which is associated with certain variables that you can use for a study. So if you want to determine it in the area of health among, let's say, a group of people, then you need to know what constitutes what that. Other than that, you will not be able to what determine what and what you should include in your study. And I believe strongly that we will be compelled to, do a lot of search when it comes to some of these areas. It is very, very important. Okay, it is very, very important. So after you've been able to determine the profile, right? Maybe you would like to what also examine whether the profile are or were associated with what another variables. That is what outcome what variables. You want to associate this profile with another outcome variable. For example, can we say that the classes that you have been able to, let's say the knowledge level, is it associated with outcome variable like, let's say, what variable can I even use? The culture, let's say culture of the community or something, right? The classes that you have established, let's say low, medium, high, is it associated with the culture you want to, let's say, correlate? You want to regress, right? So that could be another objective that you can what establish. That, okay, I have 3 classes that the system has been able to what give me. Now, let me find out whether these classes are associated with what outcome variables like what culture or something of that sort, right? You should be able to do that. Okay, then we also need to what guide this what analysis using what theory or framework like the social determinant of health framework. So as I said, if you don't know it, how will you be able to do this kind of thing? You might not even know. If you don't do a lot of search, you might not even know that this kind of study that you want to do is grounded in literature. It is based on this kind of theory, and this is how you need to go by. So I will urge all of us that we need to have time to do some of these things. It is very, very important. Okay, so this, we are saying that the framework will help or includes social and what place-based conditions that promote health. So if you're able to have time to read around the social determinants of health, you will get to know the variables to even include in your own study. It helps you to design a whole questionnaire on its own, because you get to know that maybe, oh, attitude is one of the variables. You get to know that, oh, behavior is one of the variables. You get to know that this is one of the variables. So it's like by the time you are done with just the theory alone, you know the variables that you should use for your study. You know the variables. So any other thing could be something that you just want to add on to just help you what strengthening what your study. That is all. That is all. So let's take note of that. Let's take note of that. Okay, so you've been able to come out with clear objectives. So let's say these are your objectives clearly outlined. And the next thing is maybe the methodology aspect. Please, the methodology aspect, though I have talked about it already, it is very, very important to be detailed, as we talked about it in the previous slides. You need to be detailed, especially when it comes to, let's say, the participant side. How did you get the people on board? How did you do it? Ensure that you include this detailed information at the methodology session. We are looking at what? Reporting aspect. Okay. So how you can do the reporting aspect. Report everything. Who are the people you included? Who are the people that you excluded? If it is a study that is looking at people above 40 years, or let's say above 35 years, then meaning there should be inclusion and what? Exclusion. There should be inclusion and exclusion what criteria. You need to put all these kind of what information out there for people to what? To know that, oh, you excluded this group of people, you included this group of people in what? In the study. So we are saying that try and describe the participants in details. Try and describe the variables involved in details. Not just as I don't hide anything from anybody. Try as much as you can to be able to have a proper description of your variables. Please, any question? If there's question, you can bring it on board. Okay, so if we are good, let me proceed. Okay, so for example, I just gave some small narration here that we conducted, let's say, secondary data analysis using data from the Ghana Statistical Service of caregivers who completed 2004, 2000, something like that. Just try to be detailed. Okay, try just this one, just an example. Try to be detailed, and then when it comes to the measure, okay, you need to be able to describe the outcome variables, or let's say the variables that you are using in detail. So maybe the outcome variable, you are looking at culture, describe culture in detail, right? If culture affect the classes that you have established or the knowledge level, try to describe culture in detail. Let's say if mental health is one of the variables that affects the outcome, let's say the classes, try to describe the mental health in detail. Support it with research, support it with a lot of words, things that people have done in that area, right? It is very, very important to or for you to do that. And now you can, or you should be able to even come out with how you measure the outcome variables. How did you measure mental health? Okay, remember you want to find out whether the classes that you have established have impact on mental health. How did you measure the mental health? Okay, did you use a scale 1 to 10, 1 to 5, 1 to whatever? Just come out clearly. Or if it is based on a binary outcome, let's say yes or no, please come out clearly. Come out clearly and let us know how you did the measuring. It is very, very important. It gives credibility to the research that you have conducted, right? Okay. Okay, so let's take notes. Now, the second one is the that is the indicators. So the indicators of, let's say, social determinant of health. So let's say it says what to identify profile of social determinant of health. We included what 10 indicator variables. So that one, that 10 or 30 questions that you have, or you ask the participant to measure their knowledge level, you need to describe it in detail, right? If the questions are 30 or 40 or 50, let us know, okay? Let us know how you went by it, right? If it is true or false, let us know true or false. If it is just yes or no, let us know. It is very, very important, right? Then other variables too should also follow. So all the variables that you have in your study, you should be able to come out clearly as to how you measured them. It is critical. It is very, very important. It gives power to the research that you are doing, just to avoid a lot of, let's say, criticism from, let's say, your reviewers or someone who is looking into your work. Okay, now this is the analysis side or session, the analysis session of your study. Analysis session of your study. So for example, we use our software to conduct all analysis, blah, blah, blah. We specify the maximum likelihood estimator. These are some of the things that you need to do. Okay, these are some of the things that you need to do to identify profile of social determinant of health. We first estimated a one-class model and then added classes until we identify the model with the best fit. Statistical criteria, this blah, 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 blah. You see, so these are some of the things that you need to do. And because there are a lot of research that there's nothing wrong with you, I mean, looking at work that have been done in this area, and then you just follow the approach. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. The most important thing is you cite what? The source. Where you are getting the information. You just cite the person. There's nothing wrong. That doesn't mean that you have copied that person. Okay. Once you can make reference, changing one or two statements, paraphrasing it, and then acknowledging the person, you are good to go. You are good to go, right? You are good to go. So these are some of the things that you should do when it comes to the analysis session. It is very, very important, right? So all these will form parts. And if you look at the materials that I shared with you, if you take your time to go through, and also, I mean, take note of the basic, you get to know that these are some of the things that all the authors would one or the other did in their manuscript, right? So it is very, very important. It is very, very important to take note of some of this. Now, when presenting the results, you have demographic information. So please, you should present your demographic information. That will be, let's say, if you have gender, educational level, age, and so on, you should present them, right? You should present them nicely. You should present them nicely, have a table for that. And now, another table. So let's say this one could be table 1 that has the demographic characteristics, right? That has demographic characteristics. Please, is my screen showing?
No, we can't see.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we
It
can't
seems
see.
like, okay, sorry. Let me reshare. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so okay, so you have You have your demographic profile. That could be the table 1, and then you have table 2. So this is how the table 2 will look like. That is identifying latent profile using what fit what indices. So this could be your fit indices, right? So let's say these are the models. So you have, let's say, class 1, model 2, model 3, model 4, model 5, model 6. And all this, you need to do it and then just put down the results. Okay. So you fit, let's say, the first one. Then you record all these what values. Okay. You need to record the values as you see. Okay, so let's say the likelihood estimator, you had 11,681.92. You have the AIC, you have 23393.83. The BIC 23476 point that, and so on. So once you run it, all the indices will come. Okay, and then depending on the kind of what's the name, the kind of statistical technique that you are using, right? You get extra model fit what indices, right? You get extra fit indices and so on, right? So you fit class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. But as I said, the more classes that you get, the more boring the whole thing becomes, right? So let's take note of that. So for example, let's say if you have class 4, it means that questionnaire that you took out there, right? The system can classify that questions into what? 4 components for you or 4 classes for you. Okay, where you need to do, or you need to be able to label. Why are we saying it is class 4? That is the best. Now look through the indices, and which I said the most commonly used fits criteria is what? The BIC, patient information criterion. That is the commonly used what method that we use in selecting the best model. Now, just compare. The first class had 23476.56. The second one had 2244.45.73, 22304. Now look at this one. This one is the fourth one is 22241.48. Then the fifth 22263. So you can see that clearly it is 22241.48. That is what the least among the BICs. Okay, so that tells you that 4 classes, okay, or model 4 is the best to fit the data that you have, right? And then you don't present only the result for the class 4, but you present the entire table. It should be part of your table. It should be part of the report that you are writing, so that when someone sees it, that, oh, this as a result of this, that is why you took this. Okay, so these are further diagnoses that you have in the report. So you need to include all this information in your study. I'll share some of the articles information with you shortly. Okay, now after you are done with that, you need to have a plot of the class or the profile. So this one becomes plots of what? The profile. So if you had 4 classes estimated, right? So here 4 classes were estimated. Then you can see 4 different colors. So now you can see I'm not very good when it comes to colors, so forgive me. You can see is it the black one, and then I don't know whether this one is it green and so on. Pardon me for that. So you have the black one, then if that is the green, you can see the green one. You can see the green one, and then you can also see some dots, and then you can also see a short one. So this is one, this is another one, and so on. So you have 4 classes, right? And then how the 4 classes also relate with each other. So this is what we are talking about, right? So 4 classes were evaluated based on the responses. Then the system will tell you how many went in for class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, right? Now, you see here, you can see 4 classes. These 4 classes that you have, the system won't tell you class 1, name class 1 as, let's say, limited access to promotive factors. It won't tell you. You need to be able to, based on the information that you have, okay, to be able to name it as such. Other than that, it will not be possible for you to do it. You need to do the naming by yourself. So let's take note of that. It is very, very important, which I said is one of the challenges, right? That those who are using this technique will face. You can do everything, but when it comes to the naming, it will be difficult, right? But with time, not that with time, if you're able to put all the items that belongs to item, let's say class 1 together and study it very well, right? I think you should be able to, name, let's say what class 1 is, what class 2 is, what class 3 is, and so on. Okay, so that is that. Now, after you are done presenting the profile, you should be also be able to associate the classes with the outcome variables. Okay, so 4 classes were estimated, right? 4 classes were estimated. The first class was, let's say, limited access to promotive factors. If you can see from you have limited access to promotive factors. That is, let's say, class 1. Then you have promotive factors, class 2, access to healthcare, class 3, barriers in physical environment, let's say class 4, right? Now, you need to be able to associate the classes. You need to be able to associate the classes with the outcome variable, which maybe your outcome variables are behavior problems or ADHK indicator, right? That is the attention defects, right? Or deficits, right? So you should be able to associate, right? Association. You can perform association tests, right? Between the classes as against the outcome variables. It is very, very important. We will look at them practically. That is tomorrow. Okay. Now, after you are done with this one, other researchers to go ahead to now compare the profile, the class profiles that you have established. That's the 4 classes by covariates. So here, your covariate could be, let's say, gender, right? You have gender, you have language, you have income, let's say educational level, and so on. So you compare all the demographic characteristics, the one that you want to use. You compare all of them with the classes that you have or the profiles that you have been able to establish, right? So these are some of the things that you need to have when it comes to your writing, right? Or the reporting of your results, right? Now, let's look at the final part of it. The final part of it. The final part is where you need to discuss, okay? You need to discuss the results that you have. So you see, let's say if it is articles that we are writing, I have given you all the components that you need. So you need to discuss. Now, you know how you can formulate, let's say, your objective. You have formulated your objectives. You have been able to, get some theories that is backing you. You've been able to, get some literature supporting what you are going to do. You've also been able to write your methodology very well. You have done your analysis. You have all this reporting here and there. Now, you need to discuss what's the results. It is very, very important to have time to discuss. Some of this research that maybe you want to do when it comes to social determinant, you want to work on HIV, you want to work on a different condition altogether. It has already been done. If it is not done in Ghana or within the African terrain, it has been done elsewhere. Just get one or two articles, right? Get a lot of articles in that area. Just see how they presented their results. As I said, there's nothing wrong with you following someone's format to write. Remember, the scope are different. The person is using American Indians, or is using American Chinese, or is using whatever, a different people altogether, or somebody is in Canada doing some research in Canada Americans, Canada Indians, or something. The scope are different. But you just want to follow the style, the format that the person, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. All that I need to do is just follow the format and ensure that you present your work in that manner. That is all that we are saying. If you're able to do that, you know, it's even easy because you don't struggle so much. Okay, the person started with this approach. Okay, I'm also going to start it. Okay, in my study, I use 100 people. Remember, the person used 1,000 people or something. So it wouldn't be like you are copying that person, right? You are just looking at the format, how the person started with the presentation and everything. Then you also use the same approach to also do yours, which is perfect. Which is what? Perfect. So I would encourage all of us to do same. Get a lot of articles. So one study, you can get about 30 articles or 20 articles or 15 word articles just to guide you as to how you should present what your results, how you should present your analysis, how you should present your discussion, and so on. So do proper discussion, talk about the practical research implication. What is the implication of your study? If people do not adhere to what you have done, what will happen? What is its implication when it comes to theory? What is its implication on the society? What is its implication in the global? If you can do something, I believe strongly that it will draw attention. It will draw attention because if you are doing a practical oriented research and you have come out with a study, let's say findings that people within this community or among the accounts, this is what is happening, and you are not detailed enough, nobody will know what is there to even go and take such people from that kind of a situation. But if you're able to, I mean, come out clearly and outline this, what's the name, the implication of the study, I believe strongly that someone sitting somewhere would, oh, so this person has done this research. If only we want to intervene, we'll just get that document, follow your report, and then go to that community and help them. And help them. So let's be very, very conscious when it comes to the research implication. You can just tailor it to your community, to your society, to your country, and then the global as what as a whole. It is very, very important. Then we have limitation of the study. Please, you can't say that your study is 100% accurate. You definitely what will have one way or the other some kind of a limitation. Come out clearly. What is the limitation in terms of the theory, limitation in terms of the measurement, that is the technique that you use, and so on. Anything that you would think is a limitation in terms of the study, right? It could be the sample size that you use, and so on. Come out clearly, and then recommend what future what studies. Recommend future study. What should future research should do? What should they do to, I mean, give a better picture of what you have done? It is very, very important. And then you can what? Conclude. Based on all these kind of things that you have come out with, just conclude, make a paragraph or let's say one or two sentences, and then I think you should be fine, right? And then you need to declare that is conflict of interest, right? If there is any conflict of what interest, please come out clearly, right? Let us know whether you have something to do with the study, maybe in terms of something within can affect you or something. That is the researchers involved. If there is no conflict of interest and you are like free mind researchers, nobody owes you something or whatever. Just come out clearly, right? That there's no conflict of interest. So the work should ask. Sometimes when there's conflict of interest, the reviewers will be asking, okay, what is it? Okay, if it is something that can have impact on the study, then it's better you come out before even put that paper out there, right? So conflict of interest is something that we should also take into consideration. If you have issue pertaining to the research, solve it. Okay, solve it before, because sometimes the moment it goes out there, the paper is published. That is where we see some of the partners, or let's say the the researchers, they'll be fighting, right? The thing too has already been published. Do you want the media, or let's say the journal, to draw, or let's say to withdraw that kind of your publication? It's a whole lot of things. So declare all these kind of things first. If you all agree, then you can go on. Then you have funding. If you are fortunate, you have funding from an organization. Individual gave you some money to embark on the study. Please acknowledge the person. Acknowledge that kind of money that they gave you. It is very, very important. Sometimes some of these funding bodies, they will give you a number. You can put out that number over there. That this study, we had a funding from A and B or whatever. With this, if they ask you to disclose it, you can go ahead and disclose 10,000 Ghana cedis, 20,000, 15,000 Ghana cedis to embark on this study. Declare it. Then finally, you can make all your references. Please don't have documents or don't have certain statements that you know that it is not from you, right? Without what? Acknowledging. It is very, very bad. Acknowledge every statement that you know it is not yours. Okay, you know it is not yours. Acknowledge it. Very, very important. It will not take away the motive for the study. But sometimes we fail to do some of this basic, thinking that we are the first person to make such statement, right? Remember, you are not an let's say expertise in that area. You are not authority in that area for you to say that you are making this statement, right? So once you make you saw certain statements somewhere, please acknowledge what the source. So have all your recommendation put together and put them at the back of what the study, or let's say at the back of what your document. So thank you. So I will take question. If there is question that you have, this is where we'll be ending today's list. I've given you all that you need to know, the literature aspect of it. I've shared certain documents with you. You can take a look at them whilst, tomorrow, God willing, we will go into the application so that you can now begin thinking about, okay, what can I do with this technique? What can I do with this technique? I have some idea. Can I use this technique? Then after tomorrow, even today, you should begin to ask yourself some of these questions. What can I use latent class analysis for? What kind of research? Just think about something, right? So tomorrow, God will, once you're able to go through the practical aspect of it, I'll share the codes, everything with you. You can keep it. The most important thing is you can just modify it, because maybe the variables that you'll be using tomorrow is not the same as what you have. You just modify it and then you run it, and that is all. You report everything. That is all. You include it in your work. That is all. So this time around, we are taking questions. If you have question, you can bring it on board. Then we can proceed. Thank you very much for your time. So it is question time. You can unmute yourself and then ask all your questions. Thank you.
Ike, right, good evening.
Yes, good. Yeah, good afternoon. This afternoon, we are in the afternoon, so don't worry.
This form of methodology, will it be good if you combine it with other methodologies in one paper?
Yes. So
Because
yeah.
it normally deals with yes or no questions, true or false. So if you have a number of questions, one deals with this and the other also deal with other aspects of methodologies, can you combine them, and how successful would that be in publications and the rest?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So yes, you can combine the one. The most important thing is after you've been able to establish the classes, after you've been able to identify the classes, because that is one of the objectives that maybe you will formulate, that you want to know the classes. After you are done with that, you can combine it with anything. So like you can combine it with regression, you can combine it with correlation, you can combine it with logistic, anything. You can do that. You can do anything. The most important thing is you know the codes. And that is one of the challenges. When it comes to the programming aspect of it, that is the challenges associated with it, because it's not straightforward. It is not straightforward. So you need to look for example, if you want to do the latent class analysis with, let's say, regression, you need to know the regression codes that will help you to be able to run that in the software, because it's not straightforward. You see a button, it's not, you can't click like a button that will do latent class analysis and correlation at the same time. It is not there, but you can combine. Once you know the codes to be able to do that, you should be able to do all such. I think there is, let me share one of the articles that I shared with you. It has that. Let me see if I can see it. They did the latent class analysis with logistic regression, which is also a whole technique that uh, someone would like to use to also analyze data. There is where is it? Yeah, so doc, you can combine the technique with all forms of technique. The most important, as I said, is the you getting the course right. Once you get the course right, you will not have any issue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Please, any question? Please ask all your questions. It's very, very important. Please do ask questions. Okay, so I think this paper, for example, they were looking at the title is topology of religiosity or spirituality in relation to perceived health, depression, and lifestyle, life satisfaction among older Korean immigrants. And they did the latent class analysis. All right. So you can see this is the latent class analysis, but on top of it, there is correlation in it. And then there is here too, there is ordinary least square regression. So you can combine all the techniques. You can combine, which you look into all this, God willing, tomorrow. The applications are how we can combine them, how we can combine all these techniques. Thank you. Okay, please, a hand is up. Yes. Thank you. Please, you can unmute yourself. Sir Joseph, your hand is up.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Prof. We are really grateful for such a nice presentation.
Thank
But
you.
as you were presenting, we realized that the network was off and on. It wasn't clear. So going forward, after your presentation, we will appreciate it if you can give us the slides so that we walk through during our leisure time. And then, if God willing, tomorrow the practical ones too, I think we will appreciate it if we can put it in a whole package or even the slide so that we can go through for us to get a clarification. Thank you and great work done. We are
Okay.
grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. Please, any other question? Okay. So if there's no further question, this will be some of the. I mean, tomorrow God willing, this is what we'll be looking at as the practical application of the LCA using the R software. So it's going to be pure application. You are going to do pure application. So I share some data set with you. The data set with you. So please just take your time and then go through. I think there was a questionnaire. I gave some data description. That is the questionnaire that we'll be using. So please just take your time and go through them. So this one is just like the indicator variables. So let's say 9 questions, yes or no. Then you have demographics variable, age, gender, income, educational level. And then we have something like, let's say, outcome variable. That is psychological and mental health, behavioral and contextual factors, and so on. So these are the variables that you'll be looking at. So we will try to fit the latent class with the 9 items. Then we find out whether the latent class relate with the covariate and how the latent class also relates with the outcome variable, and which of the outcome variable should we use, right? It is not all of them. We need to use them based on their significance, and that is what you'll be looking at, right? So please, if you don't have the R software and then the R studio, please try and get them downloaded. Okay. I think I will share
Why are
the
we?
the codes with you. I will share the codes with you so that you can have it whilst, if you want to do it whilst I'm also presenting. I mean, we all want to do it, right? I don't want a situation whereby it's like I'll finish running everything and then uh, you do not take part. So I didn't share it with, so I'll share the codes itself, the codes that I'll use for the presentation tomorrow. I'll share it with you once we are done with the today's activity, so that you get it downloaded, have it on your laptop. Then tomorrow, as we are moving, you also move the same. At least you will see the results on your computer, which will be more appropriate than just maybe watch everything done and then at the end of the day you are going to do it. So please download the R and then the R Studio. We'll be using the R Studio, but without the R itself, you can't use the Studio. So please get the two, and I gave you, or I shared the link with you to download. So please, let's get it done. And then after that, download the packages or install the packages. So the packages, we have the tidyverse, we have the polo, or let's say the pull last, that is a POLCA, and then the ggplots. Then we have the core plots and so on. Please get all this done, right? Get all this done, and then I mean, just to have a smooth, I mean, practicals, to God willing, what tomorrow, right? So please, if you don't have it, let me know. If you don't have the R software, or if you've not been able to install, please let me know so that I can guide you as to how you can install, and then, I mean, install the packages too. Or better still, you can send email or reach out to me via WhatsApp, so that I can have time to take you through. Okay. So if everything is okay, then I would say that thank you very much. A lot of students participate, almost 30 people, and majority are on the view that the network is an issue, which is okay. So the recordings will be made available, and I'll share everything with you by close of day tomorrow, once we are done with the entire training. Thank you very much, and see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Bye.
Right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Ike, so when you're there.
Yeah, we are